Round 3 of the XCAT World Series comes to Dubai, a city with a growing reputation for hosting major international events. The Emirate is also bidding to bring the World Expo to the Middle East for the first time in 2020.
Dubai is one of the most famous cities when it comes to organizing events and mega events, and of course making those events something different than whatever is happening in the world, because the expertise and the leadership that we have under His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, ruler of Dubai, and the continuous support from all the other entities.
Once again, the XCAT series has attracted drivers and teams from across the world to come and race here in the U.A.E. Before competition gets underway, the first task is to attend a briefing at the Dubai International Marine Club. This event marks the midway point in the championship, and so far this season, local crew Fazza have once again been the team to beat. Having dominated last season, the defending champions have already won the first 2 races of 2013. Fazza's boat is built and set up by multiple World Championship winning squad Victory, and teammates Arif Al-Zafin and Mohamed Al-Mari are hugely experienced, but they remain focused, knowing that last year's vice champions Mawad are never far behind. Throttled by American Gary Ballou and driven by Swiss ace Omar Daniel, Mawad are tired of finishing second and are long overdue their first XCAT race victory. And with former champion Spirit of Dubai and new teams like Gabon proving that they are more than capable of challenging for wins, Fazza's place at the top of the table is far from assured. The plan is to take XCAT racing to more and more new countries in the future, which is why the African country of Gabon is now sponsoring 2 boats in the series.
We signed an agreement with Gabon to host a race in Gabon for the next 3 years, 2013 all the way to 2015. In the same deal, they committed the government of Gabon together with the government of Dubai. They didn't want only to host a race, but they want as well to have a team with the brand of Gabon. And then from Dubai, of course, Victory Team company, which represent the government of Dubai, made 2 boats available on a very, very short notice of time, arranged two crew, 2 pair of pilots, and all the service and things like that from Victory Team. We want to select one of the Gabonese competitors or pilots, future pilot, to train him and then to get him involved in XCAT racing.
Gabon 7 is being throttled by an ex-Formula 1 powerboat world champion, but how does that compare to offshore racing?
Well, there is no real comparison to a Formula 1 boat. This is a different ride in itself. It's a different type of driving. It takes 2 people and it takes coordination between 2 drivers. The course is much, much rougher. The boat will leave the water 5-6 feet off the water, where you won't do that with a Formula 1 boat and recover. So this is great fun. This boat is it's an awesome boat. You really put it through the elements out there.
Making a welcome return to the championship are the Italian pairing of Alfredo Amato and Marco Pinisi for Consul Brokers. After 2 years of experience competing with the Nicolini team, we made the move to set up our own Italian team called Al and Al. We missed the first 2 rounds, so this will be a sort of preparation year, and the main aim is to be ready to challenge for the championship in 2014. Also back in action is the Swedish team Westerlund Racing, after they were forced to miss round 2.
First race in Abu Dhabi, we suffered from major engine problems, and it took a long time to get them running again and get everything in good condition, so that's why we basically had to skip the second heat.
Obviously there's a few new boats out there, so who are you expecting to be, your competition, and who do you think is going to do well?
Yeah, I think most of them will do very well. When it's rough, some people gain a lot that don't have the top speed, and I think more boats and more teams will be much more competitive when it's rough. And for us, example, we love when it's rough, so I think we'll do better in rough than in flat water. So, well, basically I would think there was a lot of the teams up there.
The first competitive action of the weekend takes place in the marina as the teams race head-to-head in the Speedcat run. This is powerboating's answer to drag racing, with boats running 2 at a time in a straight line. The early stages of this knockout competition brought about an intriguing matchup as the silver boat of XCAT World Series champions Fazza was drawn against last year's runners-up, Mawad. As in drag racing, the Speedcat run is about three things: reaction time off the start, acceleration and power. With speeds in excess of 200 kilometres per hour, it also requires more than a little nerve. At the line, it was Fazza who took a narrow victory. They went on to progress all the way to the final, while U.A.E had to suffer an early exit. So far, Westerland Racing's decision to spend time redeveloping their engines was paying off, as the Swedes made it all the way through to the semi-finals. Here they faced the always competitive Qatar team, crewed by Mohamed Al Nasser and Ali Al Namar. With the place in the finals at stake, the two teams gave it everything as they unleashed the full potential of these twin Mercury engines on relatively calm, flat water. Ultimately, Qatar team's better start saw them safely to the flag. They progressed to the final, while Joachim Kumlin and Daniel Svensson had to settle for third place. And so to the final, with Fazza over on the far side, taking on Qatar team. Having secured victory in each of the first two Speedcat runs this season, the odds were stacked in favour of Fazza. Plus, they'd already beaten Qatar team in their semi-final encounter. But having got off to a flyer, there were a few raised eyebrows as Qatar team got their noses ahead. In the latter stages, though, it looked like Fazza might just reel them in. And sure enough, as they hurtled towards the line, the result was too close to call. Was it a third consecutive victory in the Speedcat run for Fazza, or Qatar team held on to take the win? The replay confirmed that it was tantalisingly close, but it also confirmed that by just a few hundredths of a second, Qatar team were the winners. After their podium finish in round 2, this result would move Qatar team into second place in the overall Speedcat run standings, behind Fazza.
Now all the boat is strong. Fazza, Rashid, number 11, number 7, Gabon, all the boat is strong. I am try. I think it's a good setup. My boat now acceleration very nice. My boat running very nice for start. I come first.
Next, it was time for qualifying, and a real shock to the system after the calm, protected waters of the Speedcat run. With high winds and waves of up to 1.5 metres high, conditions were testing, to say the least. But with a similar forecast for race day, it would prove to be an invaluable learning curve for the teams. Despite having very little experience in offshore racing, 2008 Formula One powerboat champion Jay Price and teammate Sultan Al Dahiri were on blistering form. Their best lap time of 3 minutes 12.1 seconds, enough to secure pole by almost 2 seconds. Understandably enough, they came off the water buzzing with adrenaline.
Wow, you know, it comes down deep in the feeling of the boat. We got the feeling. We tried different setups. Racing smaller boats really helps. We knew the boat was too light earlier on. We got with the crew. We put some weight, managed the weight around, switched some propellers, and we just went for it. The time was running out. We knew we had to drive hard. We pushed it, and my teammate drives. He turns that boat when we need it, and it was a sensational run. We're really excited.
And there was further joy for the team as Talib Al Sayed and Salim Al Adidi set the second fastest time of the session in boat 33, making it a Gabon 1-2.
Yeah, I'm really happy because I've got a new mate with me on the steering. The condition is getting worse and worse, so we don't think that if we're gonna go out again, we're gonna do a better timing.
It's been a while since Fazza were outgunned in qualifying, but on this occasion they had to settle for third place, albeit just 0.2 of a second slower than Gabon 33. But there was huge disappointment for U.A.E.
We got a problem. Yep. There's a motor going away or something. There's what? I got a motor with a problem. Pull off. Yep.
Gary Ballou and Omar Daniel suffering engine failure early in the session, and with no time to fix the problem, they would have to start from the back of the lineup.
We went out for pole position, and one of the motors completely blew up. It's called throwing a rod, and it was on a motor that was brand new, fresh, rebuilt, and apparently we didn't put enough time on it before the race to discover if it was gonna work or blow up. And these motors typically They only go bang when they're brand new or just rebuilt. If they've been running, you trust them for 4 or 5 races. And these motors that we just put back on here have 2 races on them, and I trust them big time. That's just part of racing. When something's fresh and new, there can be one little tiny thing inside the engine, and you never know. It just wasn't our day on those motors. But the good news is we had spare power heads. We put them on. We do have time to go race. There's plenty of time. It's got 3 hours left, and we'll have to start from the back of the pack, and it'll just have to show our ability to march forward.
Here's a look at the qualifying results then. Console Brokers, Fajera Racing Team, Qatar Team and Inshallah completing the top 8. Join us after the break for race action here in Dubai. Welcome back to Dubai, where we're almost set for round 3 of the XCAT World Series. But before we go racing, let's look at the course with Sebastiano Pelleccia.
This is one of the more exciting race courses that we have in this season or in the last years, because there are 2 different parts. One is completely flat, that is inside of the lagoon, just in front of the Palm Island, when they can reach the pilot the maximum speed because it's very flat and they can push very hard. And then the most difficult part is when they reach, some wind or some wave. There is some rough. So in this part, we can see the real pilot maneuvering. They are more or less the 60% of the race course outside in a rough condition, that they have to maneuver in hard way, and the 40% inside, that they can do the faster way. And when they can reach maximum speed, that is more or less around 120, 125 miles per hour.
This is how they line up, with F1 powerboat champion Jay Price helping to put Gabon 7 on pole. Gabon 33 start second, and championship leaders Faza line up in third. Disappointment for Mawad after a broken engine puts them back in 11th. You could say the heat is on.
You got any water over there?
Yeah, you want some?
Yeah, I need some down my jacket. Thanks. That's much better.
Drink the rest, buddy, drink the rest. Thank you.
There is the boat then that will start this race from pole position. Gabon 7. Jay Price on the throttles. There he is on the right of picture. Sultan Al Dahari behind the wheel. A big crowd here lined up then, ready for the action and the start of race 3 in the championship. Over on the far side is the start boat, nearest to them, the pole sitters. The green flag is waved and the race gets underway. And look at the silver boat over on the far side. That is Faza on board with them now, making an absolutely blinding start. And I reckon they've got their noses in front already. On board with Westerland Racing, the Swedes starting in 4th place. They also look to have made a good start. And there to the right of picture, you can see Faza, who are clearly, I reckon, in the lead of the race. On board with the pole sitters, Gabon 7. Didn't make the best of starts, and they will have slipped back. This is the rear on board looking back from them. There are their teammates, or at least they're still ahead of them. But I think they've lost out to both Faza and to Westerland Racing. Still a long run up towards the first mark, though. On board with Gabon 33, and you can see it throwing them around already here. Pretty rough. Fantastic on board here, looking back and throwing up the waves. And yes, they are past Gabon 7. There is Gabon 7 to the left of picture, so they come through. So the pole sitters have lost at least 3 places at the start of this race. Qatar team didn't qualify all that well in 7th place, but here they are, starting to make progress, picking up a couple of places up. On board with them now as they steer their way through. Left of picture there is the 20 boat of Fajera Racing Team. It's going to come back through though, and the 2 places they gained, I think when they hit a wave, it got them airborne slightly, and they lost the positions again. And Westerland Racing have been thrown around here. Their boat almost on edge here. Now they're getting a face full of spray into the first mark. On board with the race leaders, Faza. There's Westerland in the background being thrown all over the shop, but somehow they're hanging on to 2nd place. Fear for anybody in the middle of the pack here as they go through the first mark. Look at that, look how much spray is coming up. 1.5 metres high the waves were in qualifying through this turn. On board now with Mawad, who are in the middle of the pack.
I'm going on. Gabon, wait, turn, he's right there. Wait, Gabon. I don't see him.
Turn left.
I don't see him.
Turn left. There's the buoy over there, dude. God damn it.
So disaster for Mawad because they've gone underneath inside the first mark, and that is an offence which will give them a penalty. It's going to put them right down the order. So there are the race leaders, the championship leaders, their championship rivals. Faza haven't had the best of weekends so far by their very high standards, but it's going according to plan now. It's also going very well for Rahib. Look, they've nosed ahead of the Gabon boat there. So Rahib have made a very good start to this race, having qualified back in 10th place. Coming in shore then, Faza leading the way, and they've got a huge margin, you know. Look at this, look from the aerial shot. A huge gap back with less than a lap complete to Westerland Racing there in second place. Then it's the Gabon 33 boat, and then it's Consul Brokers up into 4th place now. So it has been a bad start to the race for the pole sitters after a fantastic performance in qualifying. Faza then back up front where they've been all season long. Could this be their 3rd win on the trot? Too early to call. We're only on lap 1. Westerland Racing, though, are going great guns here. After missing round 2 of the championship, they're back with a vengeance. 2nd place in the race for them. And then they make their way through the next turn. And there in 3rd place, you can see the blue and yellow boat of Gabon, not too far behind the Italians, also making a good return to the series. And there is the Mawad boat, which is fairly far down the order anyway, but they are going to get a penalty lap, a very, very long lap that will be. They get to choose when they take it over the next few laps, and they might choose to stay out a little longer before they take the penalty, just to try and work their way through the field. Rest of the runners coming through. Look, Qatar team, who went so brilliantly well to win the Speedcat run, are struggling in the rough conditions here and are pretty much at the back of the field. So on board with Gabon 7. Look at the boat hopping up and down here over the waves, getting airborne, and every time it does that, of course, the props are out of the water and they lose drive and they lose traction. So that's going to drop them back into the clutches of the midfield runners. They're at the top mark then, Faza, with this comfortable lead, although maybe it's been pegged back a little bit at the start of this lap by Westerland Racing. Look, maybe a little bit closer than they did last time we saw the two of them. And Gabon aren't too far back in 3rd place either. On board with the 2 Swedes then, looking all around them as they went their way through that top mark, looking for their first points of the season after a DNF in round 1, a missing round 2. On board with Omar Daniel and Gary Ballou. Well, they're still out there, not taking the penalty lap as yet, and they're getting close now to the tail of Gabon 7. Looking back from Gabon as they go through the top mark now. There you can see Mawad there, the black and white number 50 boat out to your right. They're not too far behind here, but they're picking up the weight, and this is going to throw them around a bit. Plus, it affects the visibility, as you can see, on a fairly rough day like this. So everything they gained on the way into the turn, they lose through the middle of the apex. There's the other Gabon boats, Salim Al-Adili and Salib Al-Sayed, going great guns here in 3rd place. Lost a position, but they are a comfortable 3rd, just a couple of seconds clear of Consul Brokers. Well, the crowd have come to expect Faza to lead and win races, but they are in a race here. Westerland are matching their lap times now. They go through in 2nd. There's the 3rd place boat of Gabon 33, and almost identical times to them. The Italians in Consul Brokers just behind. You can see them there from the rear facing the camera. So there's 3rd, there's 4th, and they're in 5th place. The blue boat of Rahib. That's a tremendous effort from 10th place at the start, and also picking up ground here, the black boat of Spirit of Dubai. The former champions didn't have great success in qualifying from 9th position, but Rashid Khalifa Al-Mari and Salim Fadel Al-Hamli are making good here on the 2nd lap of the race, and they're the ones that have dropped backwards, the pole sitters at Gabon 7, out of the top 6 now. Looking back from Qatar team, another boat trying to make their way up after a disappointing qualifying, but they're right alongside now the other black boat, the number 20 Fajera Racing team boat. Fajera are coming back at them here. These two have been locked in a squabble for most of the race so far. Qatar team just nosing back ahead here as they head off out to sea once more, but Fajera team, again, acceleration looks good and they look like an even match. Qatar team, though, will be very disappointed to be way down the field. There are Consul Brokers now alone in 4th place. A big gap back has developed to 5th position.
You want to do a long lap now? You want to do it now? I can't hear you. You want to do the long lap now? Yeah, if you want to, I don't care. I'll do it now. You know what we do now? What? We finish. Yeah, I know. So, how about I chill out a little bit? Yeah. All right? Yeah. Because we're not going to catch them. I know.
Officials there listening in on the radio conversations that are going on, keeping an eye on proceedings as well. Looking back now from Rahib, And they're looking back at the pole sitters, Gabon 7, who were swamped in the first lap, but have started to pick up the pace now, and they have closed the gap, look, to Rahib. They were something like 7 or 8 boat lengths back, but now it's down to just 3 or 4 as they go on to the starts of a new lap. Ahead of them there, you can see the Spirit of Dubai, the black number 11 boat in the foreground. That's a retirement, that's Polyform. Number 74, Guido Cappellini and Daniel Sagan-Mark. They didn't do a lap in qualifying, and they were late to start the race. It's been a very disappointing weekend for them. Normally quite a competitive outfit, that. Now look at this, the gap coming down as they head offshore, and Rahib are coming under attack, and they hit a big wave there, and you can see, look, almost immediately they lose huge amount of ground, and coming alongside them now surely are Gabon 7, but have they got through? No, they look like they've hit the rough stuff now, and they drop back, so it's yo-yoing up and down. The gap goes back out to a couple of lengths, and Rahib get their noses back in front in that little squabble on the fringes of the top 6. Looking at the second place boat here. They're in the wake of Fazza, so they are continuing to close their gap. They're a little bit faster on the last lap. Fazza's pace has gone off the ball now. They're Fazza, the race leaders, and yet just a couple of seconds back of Westerland Racing. They're closing all the time. They're closing right up to Fazza. Fazza have slowed dramatically here and on board with Westerland Racing as they take the lead of the race. Looking back from Fazza, yeah, one bank is not working, look. Only one jet stream coming out the back, so one of the engines has gone, or maybe it's gearbox related, but either way they've only got driving one engine, so that is the new race leading boat, Westerland Racing. What a comeback this is. They lead the way here. They started in 4th place and got straight up to 2nd, and now with Fazza pulling out, or at least going slowly, that's the new 2nd place boat of Gabon 33, and it should put Consul Brokers up to 3rd place as well. And there's a retirement, I'm afraid, for Inshallah, Richard George and Mark Walker. Just had all sorts of reliability issues during the course of the season so far. A real shame for them. Now we go back to this battle between the blue boats of Rahib. And coming up onto their tail as they both lap Fazza, who is still out there, it's Gabon 7. Gabon, don't forget, were quick enough to qualify almost 2 seconds quicker than anybody else and get the pole position. They did more laps than anybody in qualifying, so they're getting a feel for it now, and they go ahead. Even more points at stake in this battle now that Fazza have dropped back. They are still running. They are trying to pick up some points still and get the 70% distance done to score the points as a Mawad. Gary Belusse is going to back off, just try and get to the finish and pick up some points. Look at this, the engine mounts come off as Gabon 7 have lost an engine there. It's just been battered around, it's hanging off. They're going to have to slow the boat up, and luckily it's still hanging onto the boat. Otherwise that would be a very expensive incident. Doesn't look too good anyway. Their teammates though are untroubled in this race. Actually fairly quiet time of it here, and looking for a podium finish, and that was their main threat from 4th place. Consul Brokers going very slowly. Qatar team whizzed past them, so Consul Brokers have a problem, which is a real shame. The Italians have made such a good return to the championship. And the white flag is now out, which means we're on the final lap of the race. The race leaders, Westerland, already some distance round it. Round the stricken Gabon 7 boat goes Qatar team, and they're still in this battle here with Serafino Barlesi and Ahmed Al-Sawadi from Fujairah team. Here though, come Westerland Racing, and they're going to score their first ever XCAT World Series victory. The flag is out. What a tremendous performance. And we've still got this last lap battle going on here for the lower places. Qatar team ran wide through the top mark, and Fujairah come through to pick up some crucial extra points. So there is confirmation of the final results, and what a tremendous performance it's been by Rahib. 4th place, their best ever finish in the XCATs. How about the championship points? Well, Fazza still lead the way. Mawad hang on to 2nd place. Gabon 33 are up to 3rd. The Qatar team are there in 4th.
I'm thrilled, I'm overwhelmed, it's fantastic. We are a little bit faster now than we were before, and we have managed to work everything to work very well, so yeah, it's great.
We had a really good start, it was okay. We was with Fazza in the start, and there we stuck behind Fazza for a couple of laps, and we struggled to overtake him, but we didn't. And he broke down, and I see the boats back on me, and try to do as much as I can in the curves to keep them away.
Well, let's mix things up a bit. Westerland Racing take the win. Gabon 33 and Spirit of Dubai join them on the podium. That's it from Dubai. Thanks for watching.